Here we are. It's another week of Drag Race. And Tom is here again with hair that I'm mildly obsessed with, actually. I am mildly obsessed with it. We need to come up with a name for it. Basically, long story short, a couple of years ago, I borrowed a gorge wig off Tom for Panto that was like a real deep Marge Simpson blue. It was gorgeous. And I called her Marina. Because I don't know why Marina. I think partly because of marine blue, but actually in my head, no, actually it was Marina Sirtis, and I don't know why, because she's not got blue hair. But anyway, that's why I called it Marina. And so this is like Marina's polar opposite. So
Roxana.
Roxana, yeah. Oh, like a volcano. A volcano.
Volcana.
Volcana. There we go. Marina and Volcana, they're like sisters.
Polar opposites.
Polar opposites, yeah. Probably actually start talking about Drag Race. Yeah, hi. Well, you know. Tom has to beat my face with Panto. So this is our Drag Race UK video, first of all. That'll probably have been in the title bar, so you should know that. And this week they had Dawn French on. Oh my God. How often in a day do you accuse me of turning into Dawn French? There's your answer. It's a lot. I will even read things. What did I read to you the other day in the style of Dawn French? It was the census.
The fucking census.
I made him do the census. So I was on the computer answering it because he was cooking dinner. And I did it in the style of the sketch where Dawn and Jennifer, one's visiting the other in prison, and they do all these game shows. And Dawn goes, contestant, how many dares would you like to name that tune in? And I did the whole of the census for him, making him answer the questions. But I did that style of voice for the questions. It's what he has to live with. They should saint him. They really should. And
getting anointed.
He's getting a sword around your shop. Daughter, here we go. Oh, yeah, probably. What's anointed then? Is that smacked in the face with a candle?
No.
I think of a religious equivalent. I don't know.
The anointing is where like they dab your shit with.
Spectacles, testicles, wallet, and watch.
I think they follow that pattern, but it's like oil and
right.
Yeah, when you anoint.
Isn't it like mind and spirit or something? Something to do with the Trinity.
Son, Holy Ghost. Is that where we're?
Yeah, that's the one.
Is that where we're at? Something like that. Okay. I
think it's oil.
Yeah. I think it's smacked in the face with a incense burner in I can't remember the name of the church, but basically it's a church in the old city of Jerusalem that's built on the site of the crucifixion. And I walked in pitch black, and these guys just walk around swinging. They're like this, right? And it's got scorching hot incense in it. I just walked in, it went stuck to my head. The metal bonded with my skin. Fuck me, that I couldn't see for about 10 minutes. I was like, that's nothing to do with Drag Race. So they did stand up. And God basically saw me walk into one of his most important churches and went, "Get out."
This is why we can't get a recording done in an hour, because we just travel on.
Yeah, I know.
But it's why you're all here. Be honest.
Especially Helen. Helen loves it.
Hi, Helen.
Hey, Helen.
Hello.
What would be great is actually once COVID's over, we'll have to take Tom down to meet Helen. Yes, that we'll have to do that.
Okay.
Because you'll love Helen. She's fabulous. Yeah, they did their stand-up, and Paul and I had a theory that because we watched Drag Race early, maybe a horror was bleeped out because we were pre-Watershed. Tom watched it after Watershed, and it was still bleeped out. I couldn't quite work out what he said, but Tom knows. Tom, what was a horror actually saying?
This is where we have to go.
So there's one thing that me and my grandmother have in common, and that's a gaping arsehole.
I don't understand why that was bleeped out. It's not that.
That's not that
But
bad.
the first part I don't get. It's the arsehole part that I'm like, why did they bleep that out? It's not even that rude.
No.
I mean, if
But,
there's like C-bombs over the place.
Well, that's the thing, yeah. I mean,
Because I thought she said something about a penis.
Yeah, no, I thought it was like a massive cock joke,
Yeah, yeah.
or I mean, I suppose it is technically, because how else did you get the gaping arsehole? But I don't know.
Tell us, Laura's grandmother, please, in
Yeah,
the comments below. While you're there, click like and subscribe.
Oh, don't stop. But I don't know. I mean, I say much worse about my mother, but largely because it's all true and documented. But I don't think I'd say it about my grandmother. I even though one of my grandmothers was saintly as far as I'm concerned. And don't get me wrong, I'm sure like any human, she was fallible. But I've heard stories about my other grandmother since she passed away, brilliant, that have made me really go, oh. Apparently, and this is, I shouldn't say, should I? Probably shouldn't say this.
You possibly shouldn't identify who it is you're about.
Yeah. But I've now got two grandmothers. A lot I have none actually. They're all dead. But yeah, there is a grandmother of mine who, let's just say, was as wild as some of the other members of the family. Apparently, and it's just further evidence that I had zero chance, really, because it's literally genetic that I was going to be a slag through my 20s and 30s. Literally genetic. So there you go, a little bit of my history for you. So that was a horrors routine, and actually now not as filthy as the conversation I've just had with you all, I think. But there we go. How bizarre. There was all that deal about Ellie and the running order.
Oh Jesus! But I could slap Lawrence Chaney after that.
It has honestly broken my opinion of Lawrence, because Ellie did what Lawrence would have done, what Ahura would have done, what any of them would have done, what any of us would and should do. And as Rue rightly said, well done, Mama, you played the game. I saw no problem with that, because ultimately, how many times have we seen the stand-up comedy challenge where the comedy queen gets like pole position, second or last, which, you know, are the ones you want, because first is shit, everyone agrees. But if you go out first and kill it, actually you turn that around. We've seen that happen before. You know what I mean? This challenge does tend to subvert expectations on a regular basis. The comedy queens excuse me, that was a little belch hidden in the speech. The comedy queens regularly, not that hidden, regularly don't do well. Do you know what I mean? So I'm a bit like, so to see Lawrence properly go off and then not let it go, I was a bit like, had a better opinion of you than that, love, frankly.
I think the one thing I will say is what that did is it really showed Lawrence's, and this is going to sound really horrible, but to me it showed Lawrence's age, because there is literally only 2 years difference between Ellie and Lawrence. I mean, Lawrence comes across as being, certainly up until now, I think he comes across as being a lot older with a lot more life experience. And it's not to say that you have to have life experience in order to, but I think there's a certain amount of emotional resilience that comes from the amount of shit, like the more shit you've been through over the years, the more, which is why someone who is 22, 23, 24, 25, who has more emotional resilience and maturity than a 55-year-old, because that 55-year-old may have gone through jack shit during their life.
Still live with their mother.
Yeah. And certainly, I think up until this point, a lot of what Lawrence had come out with was very much almost elder statesman-like. Certainly for the Scottish Queens, because you had Ellie, who does come across as being very sort of young and taking their first steps onto drag and performance, and not necessarily having that experience of being screwed over by people you work with and all that sort of stuff to kind of harden them slightly. Whereas kind of Lawrence gave that vibe to me until this episode, where he basically was just a petulant child throwing a tantrum.
Yeah. What did you think about it, Tom?
I don't know why he's so pissed about, honestly. I think it was more the fact that I think he wanted to be first or last to close up or open the show. Yeah. And because they didn't put him, or Ellie didn't put Lawrence at the start or the end, it's kind of messed with his head a little bit. And I think that's why he bombed so much in the challenge, because he was so in his head about it, about where he was standing in the comedy act, whereas he could have just killed it. And,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Well, let's face it. I mean, you know, we've all had that moment in a show where or you've had like a role or whatever it happens to be, and you go, okay, maybe you haven't, you're not a performer. I certainly have. I expect Tom will relate to this too. You all had the moment where, actually, Tom's one is brilliant, right? Like I can tell you an example for Tom. The first show I did with Tom was Sinbad the Panto, and Tom was this sort of sea devil character who just popped up, sort of went grr, vanished for a bit, then pops up a bit later on randomly after not being included in some scenes, and it was a bit like, where's the sea devil during this bit? Oh, never mind, we'll go. But made such a brilliant impression when Tom was on. When it came to take the bows, and it was one of my favourite moments in the show. Tom did this really cute. We had this like archway to kind of walk up and go ta-da and walk out, and Tom did this little pose every show. It was brilliant, and it was kind of like, here I am, and I used to stand there and just crease up. It was the funniest thing. But the audience roared every show, so you had this like essentially minor character, but had really won the hearts and minds of the audience by just, you know, what you did on stage. And I think that applies to this challenge. You know, doesn't matter what your positioning is, go out there and win the people, and that's all you've really got to do. You know, you're focusing on entirely the wrong thing. But yeah, I was, I mean, being a bit pissed off, going, oh, actually, I'd rather have gone second or whatever. Fine, yeah, okay, yeah, you don't have a preference by all means.
Natural.
But the way it just carried on, and I felt for Ellie a little bit because I was like, no, Ellie did what any of them would have done back to her.
Yeah.
I hated it in after when they went back to the workroom and had that little sit down. I saw Ellie crying and I was like, she just did what any contestant would do at that point in Drag Race. So why is she made to feel bad for playing the game, basically?
Yeah, exactly.
And she wasn't even that shady about, you know, it's not like doing this kind of shit episode 2 or 3 where there are like, you know, 10 to 12 queens left. So it's a bloody, there are literally 5 queens left. You are somewhat limited in what you can do with the running order.
Yeah.
It's not like, you know, you've got a multitude of positions you can put these people in. And at the end of the day, with the exceptions of probably Lawrence, none of them, I think, officially consider themselves to be comedy queens. So for Lawrence, it should have been, you know, as you were saying, this is literally my chance to shine. It doesn't matter what position I'm in because I'm a comedy queen. I will fucking wipe the floor with these bitches.
Yeah, and that's what should have done. Yeah, that's what should have. I think the only person who delivered on expectations for me in the challenge was Bimini. Again, because Bimini does see herself as having, I think she sees herself as a comedy queen, but she said she'd done it before, right? Yeah. So, or whatever it was, yeah. So I like Bimini, and Bimini has thought her act through.
Yeah, I think Bimini is just naturally funny. I don't think she actually builds her, I mean, I don't know, I've never seen Bimini perform, but from the way she does, I don't think she sees herself as a comedy queen, but I think she does know that she's a funny queen.
Yeah. Well, look at Snatch Game. Katie Price. That's kind of everything you need to know, really.
Look at that bloody cake challenge way back at the beginning where she does the bloody Brexit cake and again, fucking nailed it.
Yes. Yeah, the other one that got me was, I know the judges didn't quite see it, I think, the same way I saw it. Again, you know, we are seeing it cut down for Showtime and whatever else. So I don't know how it played out in real, but I liked Tacey's act a lot as well, actually. I think it really worked for me. So to hear Tace say, I think to the judges or Untucked after, basically turn around and go, yeah, I had it planned out, got out there, forgot everything and just kind of bluffed it. Hell, that actually came across really strong if that is genuinely the case. You know what I mean? I think this could, again, the people that possibly thought this wasn't their challenge kind of got it. I mean, you know, Ahura kept going for all that the content was wrong and misjudged. But I think the other thing, and I said this to you, this is such a hard challenge performing to blow up dolls and cuddly toys. Because stand-up relies on the audience so much. You know, it's, well, okay, I mean, again, you know, Tom and I can relate. The panto rehearsals compared to the panto when you've got kids sat there are different entities entirely. Because that's Panto. Panto is all about the audience interaction and the audience response. You know, it's not Shakespeare where you want them to actually sit there, be quiet, and just munch the popcorn.
I will say that going kind of building on that, that I think for me is where taste, for all of like Taste's, you know, inexperience, and you know, I'm not a comedy, I'm a fashion queen, I'm this, I'm that, I'm the other. That's where Taste really stood out, because I think, I don't know whether because she got to go last, so she got to see what it was like for the other four in front of her. But literally the very first thing she did was get the four judges directly involved, because that's the only audience participation you're gonna get. So you know, get them doing the "Why?" and I can't hear you, "Why?"
Yeah,
because that's how you get into the groove. And you know, I mean, to be fair, Lawrence did a bit of that as well. But then just like, okay, that's it, that's me done now. I'm now on with my routine. Yeah.
So I laughed at two performances, and that was it. And that was at Ellie's and Tace's, because they were just so relatable. Like Tace's, obviously, because she's Welsh, the accent just made it more funny, because we get that, we you know, we're from the valleys. But Ellie's, like, what did she call it? Dirty Diamond, wasn't it?
Yeah.
All about the D.
Yeah.
There is a comedian does a similar thing, isn't there? I can't think who it is. That I mean, it's not new to do the whole voice. But Ellie delivered it and was funny, and it was all, it had a run through. It was coherent and it worked. So yeah, Ellie, if you see this ever, which you probably won't, don't beat yourself up about a chicken. You did everything right this week, everything.
Yeah.
So runway. First up, we had a horror, and I've written Ivy, Line, and Jules. I can vaguely picture this.
My initial reaction was, what the fuck is it this year with fucking costume and runways that involve IV drips? This is like what, the third or fourth that we've seen,
at least.
I mean, again, I'm now having I'm not sure. I can't remember if it's just in UK or if it's like, because we're seeing obviously US and UK together at the same time. But it's just like, it's a fucking IV drip again. It's like 90,000 Madonnas.
I just don't think it should have been there for this look. Like, what was the point of it being there?
Didn't bring anything, did it?
With the mask, I'm like, where's the oxygen tank? Because I certainly think you can't, you know, inhale IV or whatever. So I was expecting
inhale a drip.
Yeah, exactly. I was expecting it to go full on Violet Chachki season 7 with the oxygen tank and the skinny waist.
Yeah. That was amazing.
But we've seen the look before. We've seen a bejazzled bodysuit. It's just, it's not
once
new.
or twice a season.
This season, yeah.
Next up was Ellie Diamond, and I put white shirt and crystal top. I can't picture this.
Can you remember Canada's Drag Race?
No, we didn't watch Canada's actually. I'm a bit of a snob. If Rue's not on the panel, I don't watch.
Never mind then. It reminded me of a look that someone else done.
I'm looking it up.
What's it called? What's her name? I can't even remember her name.
Who?
The
Ellie?
one from Canada. No.
Oh, Brooklyn Heights.
No. The one that made the one who did the look before Ellie did.
Oh God.
See, viewers, it's not just us that's talking names.
I loved Canada's Drag Race. I just didn't agree with the
there it is.
Is it?
Yeah, that's it.
I don't remember that. I remember the hair. It's got
also reminded me of Aiden Zane's like Abominable Snowman with the blue dress. Yeah, I remember it.
That's not coming out clearly at all. I think that's it.
It was the furry legs with the like arms and stuff on.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Yeah, it was a bit sort of Snow Queenie, wasn't it? I mean, I didn't hate it, didn't love it, middle of the road. I think the other thing, I said this before, is I would like to see a different face on Ellie. I'd like to just a little change once in a while, you know.
I do like that she has her own face.
Yeah, completely.
It's totally different to a boy face. Like you can't actually tell it's her.
No.
But yeah, it would be nice to see like a weird no brow moment or something.
Just sort of, you know, every third or fourth one, break it up a little bit.
I mean, I think especially because we've seen people like Michelle read plenty of other queens to filth for doing the same makeup look week in, week out. And yet, like you said, Tom, granted, you know, Ellie's face is amazing. You know, it's not like some of the queens that have been read to filth where they've literally just, oh, you've just done the same eyeliner, you've just done the same sort of, you know, under eye type. You know, and Ellie clearly does, you know, have a lot of skill and, you know, goes full on. And it's actually, in a way, I think similar to an issue I have with Gottmik from the US one, which is a lot of Gottmik's looks, for me, have looked exactly the same. It's that same sort of very smoky, very angled, almost Egyptian style makeup.
It's long and thin.
Yeah. And it's just like, you know, again, you know, Gottmik, is Gottmik a professional makeup artist? I know, you know. Yeah. So you know, she's clearly got sort of, you know, professional skills in some way that, you know, Aurora's, you know, got a degree in fashion design. So I don't know, maybe it's just me, and obviously Tom, you'll know more because, you know, I mean, you know, you've got makeup on now, and you know, you've got some stunning makeup looks that we've seen you do sort of over the time. But I just expect more from queens like that. You know, if you kind of got those chops, live up to them.
I think
Basically, go on.
No, it's
I
fine.
would say basically, why are these queens on and Tom isn't? That's what I was going to say.
I was going to comment on her hair because every wig has followed a theme, so it's always big and it's always like pigtails or like a little curve along the face. But they've all had like similar like themes all the way through. Every single wig.
It's a bit of a Dolly Parton candy floss anime, isn't it? But I think that's kind of her vibe, and that's her bag, like, you know. So yeah, you know, it was fine. Bimini. I mean, how to do ugly and be beautiful. Wow. I mean, just so clever, so well done. Because, you know, she could have gone further with that, but gone too far and had too many spots and bigger and more grotesque. She knew exactly where that breaking point was and stopped, and just perfect. You know, that this is a look that I expect people to win the whole season off the back of. You know, she rocked up as a final three in that would not be, you know what I mean? It was just amazing. But the other thing that I'd kind of half clocked before, but for some reason this week it really stood out. Bimini's like tiny. She's such a little dot. It's adorable. I mean, to be fair, she's
to the back of
and you know, I mean, to be fair, Bimini's probably like my height. I am tiny too, but I've got all this going on, you know, so I kind of look bigger than I am. If I was
has gravitas, I believe, is the actor's term.
I'm a fat bastard, isn't it? But it's but you know, it's and I still put fake boobs on top of this at Panto. Can you bear? So and then I can't see past them. Having a piss is really interesting in a Panto getup, but that got weird quickly. It's, as it does with me. Yeah, well, it's what they come for, isn't it? Let's be honest.
Why do you stay, people? Why?
But, yeah, so I could just talk all night about how amazing this dress was.
I think it's partially because as well she's walked in London Fashion Week. She is actually a model, and every look that she's brought to the runway, apart from her hometown look from the first episode, has been has been very fashion forward. So like she knows fashion, she knows what's editorial, and this week proved it. But I just want to know, there is an actor that she looks like, and it's not Meryl Streep. She looks like a certain person, but I can't put my finger on it.
But what are you trying to remember? Because I think, and this kind of builds on sort of what sort of you was just saying, Tom, because that's the thing that I commented on you at the time we were watching it, is like, even when like the five queens, stood there for the critiques, Bimini is stood there like she's still on the runway. She's got that bloody model pose where she's like, legs apart, kind of very sort of Vivienne Westwood runway type style about her, but she's got that supermodel attitude. And I think that's as much, I mean, this is not to take away from the outfit, because the outfit was genuinely and legitimately amazing in and of itself, but because she kind of brings that, I think, that supermodel attitude with it as well, it's that combination of the two that just kind of elevates it up to. Bimini is absolutely what I would call she's a high fashion queen. She's, I think, what queens like Raja were identified as, because they did that very sort of supermodel catwalk style and had the runway attitude. I think Bimini for me is possibly one of the first British queens that really stands out for me. I it's 2 seasons, but you know what I mean, viewers. But she kind of brings that same sort of attitude. Yeah, I don't absolutely looking for it, because then, like, you see her in the talking heads afterwards, and she could not be, more polar opposite to the image she has on the runway.
It's basic stagecraft. That's really all it is, and it's that whole thing of, if you're on the stage, you are in character. Yeah. If you are visible to the audience, you are in character. It doesn't ever drop. If you're not speaking, if it's not your bit and you're just hovering at the back and you've got 10-15 minutes, you keep it up, you keep it going, you never ever for a moment let that slide. And that's what Bimini does. Now granted, this is not a performance situation in that sense, but I think it's what we're all seeing in Bimini that's adding and elevating her, is she takes that attitude to where the rest of them, they might still keep the hand on the, be like, or you get the sort of side eye when it's like, oh, you talking about me, bitch, whatever. Bimini keeps it, boom, it's there. Yeah. It's hits her mark and boom, and it just, and when you are only that tall, elevating is good. But she's just, I can see her winning, but we'll have a little conversation about that in a minute. So next up was Pink Alien. Now, to me, and we had this conversation when it was on air, it's very Farscape. But if you're not into Farscape, you wouldn't know that. But Farscape had a very definite. It was 20 years ago now. I can't bear that. It was a sci-fi show that came along when sci-fi had been a certain way on television for a good 15 years, and did it differently and broke the rules. And it was all designed. All the aliens were actually Jim Henson's material, so it's like Dark Crystal, Labyrinth kind of aliens. So there was a lot of prosthetics and headpieces and whatever else, and
it also meant that there was a lot of non-human. So you've had Trek, which is all humanoid aliens.
With a forehead.
Yeah, there was. Yes, you still had this in Farscape, but you also had like your weird elbows, like puffins, and yeah.
And to Lawrence looks like a Camp Panto version of a Farscape alien. And I liked it a lot. I thought it was very good. It was very well thought out. Again, I think the less is more kind of worked for Lawrence on this occasion, and the fact that it was more sort of nipples up, more nipples up rather than what was below. So if anything, I would have possibly, like where you had all of the it was almost like rock formations and crystals, wasn't it? But all in the pink. Maybe there could have been extensions off the elbow. I don't know, something like that. But yeah, generally a strong look, I think.
Oh. I can't really add much, to be honest. I just think it was a nice look. That's it.
That's it. I'll be honest. I'll be honest. I tend to have a somewhat allergic reaction to that sheer amount of pink in an outfit, and that's purely a personal thing. Pink is not one of my favorite colors generally, But yeah, I probably echo the fact that all of this stuff, amazing. Love the face, because again, I think that's the thing actually with Lawrence, is that Lawrence's makeup for me, the faces, yes, they always tend to go for the outfits, but they're always different because obviously, you know, he produces different looks. He changes his face to match the look, which I think, going back to what we were saying earlier about Ellie, it's almost like Ellie builds the outfit to match the face. If that makes sense.
Yeah, totally.
Whereas I think Ellie kind of needs to move away from that. Listen to me giving a drag queen fucking makeup advice. Jesus, arrogant am I? I think, to be fair, that is something that Ellie possibly, with more experience, needs to move away from, or just trial is like, right, design the outfit and then do the face to go with it, rather than the other way around, sort of thing.
The phrase we have in advertising, which is perception is reality. So if that is your perception, that is probably reality for a lot of people. So actually, you saying that to Ellie, I think why you're saying you're not qualified, actually, you're her paying audience. So you've got a point. And lastly, and we have stuff to say here, Taste. Now, didn't we just adore this outfit? And then Alan made a very now. This is, I think, possibly.
Are you allowed to?
Have you
kind of did say on the group we can start talking now. So
okay. I wouldn't actually name and shame. I would just say I would just hint and then let the boys and girls sort of go off and do the research.
Yes. So Alan made a very interesting comment that compared Tace's outfit to a couple of things. And it ties in very nicely to something Tom and I are working on that hopefully will be a lot more public knowledge very, 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 very soon. But if you rewatch the episode and see exactly what Alan says, or if you can remember what Alan says, just do a little Google. I'm sure all will become clear. And interestingly, I did. We've Tom put a very fabulous picture of it in a Facebook group for said project.
Is that from Tace's Instagram or Twitter?
Yeah, Tace's Instagram.
Yeah. Interestingly, that there was Kelly, who also watches Drag Race. We should probably get on one of the videos actually, so get Kelly and Vicky on. Hi, Kelly and Vic. In case you're watching.
We definitely should have them on here.
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
On,
yeah. Perhaps we should all get on for the final. That'd be good, wouldn't it?
Yes, yeah.
They also clock the same stuff. So yes, I'm now wondering if that's given further inspiration to anybody within our group. Thankfully, don't expect to see me in anything like what Tace was wearing. I wouldn't do that to
see me in it though.
Yeah, you might see Tom. You may well see Tom in it.
I think you should both wear it.
No, it's not right for my part of this. And I've also got ideas already for mine. So but I adored it. I think Tace does work a runway extremely well. And what I like about Tace and what I think has served him well in this is he knows how to serve to the judges and the cameras. So it's a key strength. If you can get that right, rather than just stomp down, stomp left, stomp right, turn around, stomp off, bye. So it's I just loved it. I just bloody loved it.
It reminded me of the what's it called, Chromatica from Lady Gaga. Do you know the Rain on Me? It was very that, but done in a spacey way. Yeah,
I thought, and it was also mentioned on the show, that there was hints of Barbarella to it. But I think Barbarella's a bit more kitsch, where this had a bit more 21st century about it, rather than 60s 21st century. If that makes sense. Which it was obviously quite different. But yes, adored. And then it's tricky when you've only got 5 to choose from and you've got to put 2 in the bottom. But I think I wonder how much of the 2 that would. Oh, here we go.
Someone.
I'm just so excited to know who's gone.
I just think I wonder if the bottom two were chosen more on the tea and the drama than.
Oh, they were absolutely chosen for that reason.
I mean, you know, Ahura belonged in the bottom.
Pace did not.
Pace didn't, in my opinion. But again, if Rue had already decided pretty much Ahura was going home, and let's be honest, Rue probably knows before the lip sync what he's doing. I think, you know, I think you'd be a fool to think he sits there during that lip sync going, oh, how do I send home?
I've completely changed my mind. I'm going to send this person.
Yeah, you know, especially when you get like double eliminations and double saves, because that's all down to millions of pounds worth of production budget. That can't be made in a 3-second song. That's done in a meeting 3 weeks beforehand. Do you know what I mean? So don't be fooled, kids. This is it's all fairly planned out.
It's a very well-oiled media machine,
and it's generating insane amounts of cash. So it's not changing anytime soon. But Taste, got to say, I did have this horrible moment where I was like, oh my God,
what if they both get sent home?
Didn't worry about that so much as what if it's Taste? What if Taste goes and Ahura stays? I did have that kind of niggling doubt in the pit of my stomach, thinking, oh my God, no. But Ahura went, bye.
I saw her walk into the back of the stage and I was like, she's gonna do a Ginny Lemon. She's gonna just walk off. And I was like, no, she can't do that. She has to be sashayed away. She has to hear it from Rue just to go because she needs to go. And she finally did. Ding dong, the witch is gone. But you could see her in her face that she was so livid that it was her going home. You could just see it. And I
there
was like,
no
well,
grace about it at all.
No.
She was bitter, lover. And even, you know, when they do the whole like little bit to camera just before we see them write their mirror message, even in that it was a bit through gritted teeth, I felt. And I was a bit like, well, you made top 5 actually. That's nothing to be ashamed of, you know. And you know, she has.
There are queens that have gone on to have much larger careers from coming, you know, much less far than that. From not coming as far as that would have been better English. I knew where I was going. I just didn't have the words to get there.
You got there. It's fine. But yeah, I mean, I mean, Trixie went out before top 5. Trixie Mattel, Pause the World, YouTube sensation with Catty. Do you know what I mean?
Look at Pork Chop.
Pork Chop back on Drag Race this week. But I think there's always. I mean, if Drag Race has never gone anywhere, Pork Chop going first would have meant nothing. The fact that Drag Race has become such a global institution, being the very first to ever sashay away, actually is an enormous title. And it's what, 13 years ago, 14 years ago? Were they
it's almost a queen in itself.
Yeah. Who needs to win when you've got that? You know, I mean, and this season it seems to have been like Pork Chop, some bizarre background character, because you had the Pork Chop Lounge in the US. You know what I mean? And so yeah, I mean, but again, you made top 5. Now, interestingly, I think that's the other thing is I think Ellie's the cards she dealt everybody in the comedy challenge, given she's got no badges, yada 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 yada, could have been the make or break whether she made top 4. And if that's at stake, then of course you're going to make the decision she made. You know what I mean? So I know we've talked about this already, but so now we've got a top 4. I'm assuming it's a top 3 final in 2 weeks. Who do we think will go home next week?
Ellie. I'm sorry to say.
Weirdly, I think it might be Ellie or Tace.
Yeah.
I think they're going to be in the bottom 2 next week. We could be completely shocked. There could be all of them are like in bottom because it is EastEnders or Beastenders next time.
Oh yeah.
So we don't know if any of them are actually good actors. So they might just all bomb. We don't know yet.
Yeah. Or playing off the back of Beastenders, perhaps it'll be at the end of the lip sync. Rue will sit there, look one way, look the other, go, and then get, and we'll have to wait another week to find out who goes.
Yes, yeah.
I think.
Oh, I did the Dust Festival,
I know
didn't
exactly. BBC, if you're watching, you've got time to re-edit, kids. I'd do this. But can you imagine the fucking outcry? But you know,
well, they say kind of fucking news.
don't even start me. That's our next video.
I can't wait for Michelle and Rue to do the whole "You ain't my mother" like
Yes,
that.
I am.
Like they did that so many times through last season and this season.
Yeah,
and I'm just expecting it that next week because it's that season, and it's that
exactly.
episode.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they can actually officially do it now, like warranted. So if they don't, I'll be really upset.
That's probably why they did it, to be honest, so they could actually say that.
Yeah. Well, I think the other thing is, I'm assuming because, like, you know, when they do these like sound-alikey kind of musicals and drama challenges and whatever else, well, the difference here is you're working in the same property that owns the rights to the original. So I'm guessing they can probably go a little bit closer. I don't know. I mean, EastEnders will have a brand ambassador that will have had a veto on whether or not they are allowed. But you know, in theory, they could have gone and filmed in the Queen Vic or whatever. That'd be cool as fuck.
They probably like their sets are probably like right next door to each other. Let's be fair.
Yeah, I don't know where the Drag Race set is actually, but there's the BBC have got there's the BBC have got one. It's Boreham Wood. I know I've been to both sets of studios a few times. So EastEnders is kind of one side of the road, and then further down the other end of the Elstree and Bournemouth High Street. One side of the road, further down the high street, and then on the other side, it's a big studio, and it's where the Big Brother house used to be. It's right on the roundabout that goes off to the M25. But I know that's where some of the Strictly stuff is, or has been in the past. So there's a little thing that's getting rid of it. And it's also where they film Star Wars and Indiana Jones, you know. So if Drag Race is in that bit, then yeah, they can just run up the high street, you know, nip into Albert Square. You know, it could be a thing. Could be a thing. I reckon, yeah, I think it's going to be a proper UK final because you'll have Lawrence from Scotland, Taste from Wales, and Bimini from England. That's what I'm expecting.
Not Northern Ireland.
Yeah, we didn't get an Irish queen this season.
No, but there wasn't a Welsh queen last season.
No, there wasn't. But next season there better be the whole shebang.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they need to cover the whole lot. So you know, interesting. See what happens there.
Yeah. But one thing I do want to say, because it's one thing that really stood out for me, and this is kind of going back to the whole positioning thing with Ellie, is that Tace absolutely stood out for me in that, because he was just like literally, yeah, that's how you play the game. Fair play. Yes, it was a bit shit. And bear in mind, you know, this is someone that's just watched, you know, effectively his best friend, you know, be stabbed in the back as Lawrence saw it. And he's just like, no, fair play. That and again, done in that very Valleys way, which I absolutely love.
Yeah, yeah.
But no hard feelings whatsoever. And the same with Bimini. Bimini's just there, and the other thing thinking, yeah, fine, fair enough. You know, first, second, third, fourth, fifth. I don't give a shit where I'm going. I just need to nail the challenge. That's how you win challenges, people.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. So we'll find out next week after BeastEnders, or will we? Who our top are? Who our tops are? He said then. Fairly certain, not many in this group. That's all I'm saying.
Ellie might surprise us.
She might.